Now will we see the magic?
All right, where's Murray? Okay, who is it?
This is Jesus, kid.
Know then that it is the year 10,191.
Yes, we are bored. We're all bored now.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Hello and welcome to Mary vs. the Movies with your host, Mary Jones.
And then a thing.
And we are back to the... No, well, we're not going to the beach. We're going down the shore.
Sort of, but when you go to Atlantic City, people rarely go to the actual beach.
That's not true. We went on the beach.
Well, we did, but we're weirdos.
No, the people go on the beach. That's not true.
No, they stay at the casinos.
Okay, a lot of people do go.
Yeah.
Those people are wrong. No, they're not wrong, but I like the beach.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling this film probably doesn't have a lot actually at the beach.
Yeah. If you're going down the Jersey Shore for the beach, Atlantic City is not where you're going.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you're going to like Sea Isle, Ocean City,
Beach Haven.
Wildwood. Beach Haven, yeah, I guess. Yeah, you don't really go to... I mean, you can. I've done it. But I suppose you're right. But Atlantic City is sort of where the idea of the Jersey Shore first kind of...
Oh, yeah,
you know,
definitely.
yeah.
All the hokey boardwalk insanity of New Jersey and Coney Island, it's all there.
You know,
Horse diving.
Yeah, no, seriously, the Steel Pier, all that stuff, yeah. And I mean, look, you can trace all that stuff back to places like Brighton and whatnot in the UK, but this is, kind of the birthplace of a certain American summertime tradition, I guess.
Yep.
Now, here's the thing. I have no idea if that has anything to do with the movie we're going to watch. We're going to watch a movie called Atlantic City, and I don't know anything about this film except for two of the people who are in it. It's Burt Lancaster.
Yep.
And Susan Sarandon.
Okay.
So obviously he is much older here.
Yeah.
And she is much younger here. It's like after Rocky Horror, but it's still kind of...
What year is this?
1980.
Okay, so this is just like, 4 years after Rocky Horror?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
4 or 5. Yeah. And obviously this is much later after something like, From Here to Eternity.
Yeah, a little bit.
Another beach film, so to speak. And, The Sweet Smell of Success. That's another one of his. That's a great film. I don't really know anything about this except that I guess it's considered a crime drama. And I only know that because when I looked up this movie to see, where is it streaming, that's how it was classified.
Huh.
So... I don't really know anything about this movie, except that it's called Atlantic City, and I assume it takes place in Atlantic City.
I never heard of it, so I assume it's bad.
Okay, well, okay, it's not bad, because when I looked it up, yes, it came back with 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and 85% on Metacritic, and,
Critics, man.
What do you think this podcast is? What are we doing every week?
We're the real people, man.
Are we?
No,
I didn't think so. I don't know much about this film except it's called Atlantic City. Now, Atlantic City, it has long been associated with crime.
Yeah.
Look, I watched all of Boardwalk Empire.
We know the song.
We definitely know the song. Everybody's thinking of that song.
Well, Bruce fans.
Well, yes, okay. And I mean, look, what do people associate with Atlantic City? Okay, we brought up the Bruce Springsteen song. We brought up
casinos.
Yes, casinos, Boardwalk Empire, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It is a symbol of America in the post-mid-century decline. What had been the, gleaming city on the sea where people went on holiday Jesus, am I British? What the hell? People went down the shore.
Yeah.
My mother would go to Atlantic City when she was young. That's where her father would take her because my father was a bootlegger, as we all know. And so he was very familiar with Atlantic City. My father worked at bars down the shore, and he would work in Margate, which is on the same island as Atlantic City. It's just a little bit south of downtown Atlantic City.
I guess Ventnor is between Margate?
Yeah.
I always forget what the order is.
I always forget. I think it does go Atlantic. It's is Brigantine on a separate island?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
It's north, though.
Yeah,
right?
That is. Well, that's what I'm saying. I can't remember if Brigantine's on a separate island or not, but it would go Brigantine, Atlantic City. And then I'm not sure if the order is Ventnor, Margate, Longport, or...
I gotta look up my On the Way to Cape May lyrics.
I know, right? So this film, it's Atlantic City. It's a crime film. Atlantic City is very much associated with crime. We brought up bootlegging, Boardwalk Empire, all that stuff. The casinos, the mob, heavily in there. The song Atlantic City references the Philadelphia Mafia and, blowing up the Chicken Man. And, so like the idea that this is like a crime film set in Atlantic City is not at all surprising is where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what happens in this movie. I'm just not at all surprised at the premise. Crimes in Atlantic City. Like
Vegas used to be known as, like the mafia capital.
I mean, yes, obviously, from Bugsy to, Stories of the Rat Pack to, the movie Casino, like all of that. Yeah. But Atlantic City was...
It's like grimy uncle.
Yeah. Yes. It's grimy uncle from New Jersey.
Yeah. Like he never got as big as Vegas did. But.
Yeah. But you learn
it from watching me.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And Atlantic City, because of the crime, because of corruption, as a city, it's not. Its services have not been maintained, and all the money has gone into the casinos, and that is a shame. I mean, literally, it is a shame. It is something that is a huge problem, and the legalization of gambling throughout the rest of the country has gotten sucked all of the money out of Atlantic City, but B, the rest of the country is going to look like Atlantic City because it's not like the money's being reinvested into public services. I don't even want to get started on Philadelphia has like a couple of casinos now, and is any of that money going into SEPTA? Not really. No, I mean, yeah, gambling just is a monster to feed on itself, and I say that as somebody who likes going to casinos. I like gambling. I don't do it very often. I don't have the urge, but when I go, it's enjoyable. When I go to Atlantic City, I have a good time. Do I realize that there is something really bad about all of this? Sure. Life is complicated and humans are bad. I don't know. This is just my Catholic upbringing talking.
As far as the movie, do you think there's a love triangle?
I don't know about a triangle.
Do you think Burt and Susan are...
involved?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, yeah, he's older, but this is Hollywood. That's never stopped them before.
Like in the 70s, there would be no question. Like, why not? But
well, if this came out in 1980, that means it was made in the 70s.
Yeah.
So it's got to have 70s.
Like later 80s, they'd start to be like, well, maybe he's getting a little.
Nah, even then they probably wouldn't. I mean, come on. No. So yeah, I'm sure they are together.
So I'm guessing if he's Burt Lancaster, there probably won't be I don't know.
What? A murder?
No, a love triangle.
Oh, there might be. I don't know. Maybe there's something maybe since Sarandon has a guy on the side or something. I have no idea.
Do you think he gets killed?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm sure there's murder involved. I mean, it's crime. It's Atlantic City. Of course, there's going to be a murder. But
it's the 80s. They don't care about people dying.
No, they don't. Yeah, I don't know if he's the one who dies though.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Do you think anyone gets shot and the movie completely doesn't care?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure there's just going to be murders.
People just get shot and okay.
Yeah.
Well,
why not?
Dog. It's not really a dog city.
It's not really a dog city, which is kind of funny when you think about it because, I often think about dogs and the beach and everything, but yeah.
Atlantic City, though.
Wild dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't expect there to be a dog.
You don't think there'll be a symbolic dog eating the trash or something?
Well, now you put it that way. That's maybe there will be
Peter Greenaway style.
It's funny you say Peter Greenaway. I have no idea who made this movie. I don't know who the director is. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it's anybody I would recognize or not. So yeah, I don't really know what to expect from this.
I don't think we've done a New Jersey centric. Well, I guess. Wild. The Demi one.
Something Wild.
Something Wild. I guess
that's not Jersey centric.
No, but I mean Jersey's in the middle of it, but
they drive through New Jersey. That's about all.
Yeah.
No, they spend more time in Pennsylvania, which is kind of weird because I've talked about how the timeline of that movie doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I love that movie. It doesn't make any sense.
They make the epic 3-day drive from New York to Pennsylvania.
to the Philadelphia suburbs, no less. Yes. So, yeah.
By the end of this podcast, you could get from New York to Pennsylvania.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I don't... Wait, where were we going with this? New Jersey-centric films. I don't think we've watched really any specifically Jersey, like things that are set in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Like overall, we've watched a couple of films that have scenes in Atlantic City. Desperately Seeking Susan. Birdie has stuff set in Atlantic City, although I think they were filming in Wildwood. So was there another one in Atlantic City, or is this the third?
This is the third.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. So, okay, here's the third time we're going to the Jersey Shore. Other than that, I don't think we have anything that's really been set in New Jersey, which is kind of surprising because, it's right there.
Yeah.
Why aren't more movies set in New Jersey aside from the, Kevin Smith oeuvre?
Yeah.
A lot of which I've watched, to be fair.
Yeah. All right, another question. Is pizza involved?
Oh, now we're getting to the real heart of the question.
Yeah, the Jersey Shore heart.
Is there pizza?
Yeah.
You know what? I bet somebody eats pizza at some point.
Yeah.
Yes.
I bet it won't be Burt Lancaster. For some reason, I just can't picture him just holding a slice of pizza.
If Burt Young was in this movie, he would be eating pizza.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But Burt Lancaster, maybe not.
He probably wouldn't have, his character wasn't even supposed to, and he just walked on the set with a slice of pizza. What?
So, all right. In lieu of pizza.
No, there's gonna be pizza. There's gotta be.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. Well, with that in mind, shall we go watch the movie?
Sure.
I'm glad to see you're born again. Atlantic City, my old friend. You're back up on the map again. You sure came through. You sure came through. You sure came through.
So, I mean, Springsteen, he saw this movie, right?
Yeah, he did.
He has to have. He literally lifts some of the look. There is a line in this film where an old hippie girl, whatever. She says something to the effect of that everything comes back.
Yeah.
That the reincarnation is real and you will come back as something else. And it is a paraphrase of a famous line in the song Atlantic City. Everything dies, baby, that's a fact. Everything dies, someday comes back.
Yeah.
And she basically says this in the film.
Now, it's not that he just watched this movie and wrote a song.
No, I don't think that's true.
Because, the Chicken Man is not in this movie.
No. But the thing is, both this film and his song are coming from the same place.
Yeah. I
right?
mean, this could be about the guy. Yeah. In it.
Oh, he could easily have been
The
writing
husband.
about, well, yeah. I mean, that's the funny thing. So.
Did you happen to notice the husband's name?
It's David, right?
Dave Matthews.
Are you serious?
Yeah. This movie could be called
No way.
Killing Dave Matthews.
Well, haven't we?
It was
Look,
written by
people from Chicago?
Bill O'Reilly.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's. Oh! Yes. Killing Dave Matthews, the Chicago dump story. Yes. God, I hadn't thought about that. Oh. But, so, okay. Can I just say for a second, before we
Sure.
get into the nuts and bolts of this film, one, directed by Louis Malle.
Yep.
Who directed one of our favorite episodes.
Yeah.
By Dinner with Andre.
Mm-hmm.
Did not expect that this is the same guy. I had no idea. He also he has an interesting career, and I think we'll get to a couple of his other films.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know what? We've been talking about doing a letterbox
Yeah.
account for the show, and I think this would be on the 4.
Oh yeah.
Of the 4 favorites.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I loved.
Like we talked about, maybe it's the best one. Who knows? But
I don't
but
know.
I think it's up there.
It's up there. Like the best film we did. I don't know. I still kind of lean towards Moonstruck, obviously.
Yeah.
There've
But
been.
this is close.
This is so good. Honest to God, I was not expecting this to be as good as it is.
Yeah.
I really went in with, I don't want to say low expectations, but like I didn't know this movie. I didn't know anything about it. I did not realize that it was nominated for every Academy Award, and it took home nothing because it was up against On Golden Pond. You know,
which Jane Fonda, like she went hard for that film.
She lobbied like she was Halliburton. Like this was never going to go anywhere. It was always going to go to the Fonda family, obviously.
And the thing is, like Henry Fonda was their first choice for the star.
I don't think Henry Fonda would have been right.
Yeah, but like at the time he had medical issues, and the studio said, "Oh no."
Have you ever seen On Golden Pond?
No.
That dude is very in a chair the whole movie, and that's fine. Like it totally fits the script. It's not a big deal.
But not fit this one.
No, this is a very active movie. Robert Mitchum was also up for this. He would have been good.
Yeah.
He actually would have been very good for it, but he turned it down because he had a facelift and he's just like, I'm not playing anybody old. And I'm like, dude, you were already old.
He said, I'm not playing anyone under 45.
Yeah, right.
or
okay.
over 45.
And look, Mitchum was still making movies. I mean, he was in the Bill Murray Christmas Carol movie.
Yeah.
God.
Scrooged. He should have played a teenager in a movie.
Jimmy Stewart was up for it, and the thing is, Jimmy Stewart could do dark.
Yeah.
That could have been interesting.
I mean, I kept mentioning Rear Window because, like, well, there's a very obvious peeper scene in this.
Yeah.
He's already done that.
Exactly.
Been
So,
there.
like, Stewart could have been totally fine in this role, but I really like Burt Lancaster.
Who's great.
He's so good in this, and I was kind of skeptical because my only other experience of Burt Lancaster as an old man is Field of Dreams, and he's good in it, obviously, but you know that's very much an old man.
Yeah.
Right? See, have you ever seen Field of Dreams?
No.
Okay, well, at some point we will do it for Dennis versus the movies.
Yeah.
And you'll understand
That
why.
counts.
Yeah, it absolutely counts, and you'll understand why I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, Burt Lancaster, that's fine. He's so good in this.
Yeah.
I was really, I don't want to say surprised because like I've seen him in other things, as I said, but he's kind of perfect in this because this is set in Atlantic City and because he is a very like bottom level gangster.
Yeah, like so you know The Sopranos, you know like Paulie Walnuts, you know Sal, you know Puss.
Yeah.
You know all those guys, you know Christopher Moltisanti. He's nowhere near those guys.
No.
He is like bottom feeder. He's not even
he's closest to Bobby Baccalara.
Maybe.
But here's the thing. My granddad, okay, he had some sort of involvement with organized crime in Atlantic City back during Prohibition. This guy's
when it was cool.
Yeah, basically. This guy's kind of like my granddad if he didn't meet my grandmother and kind of straighten up, right? In that sense of he didn't really do anything. Like when we meet him, he's just a numbers runner.
Yeah.
Right? He's not an enforcer.
For like just neighborhood people.
Right, exactly. You know, this is the bottom of the barrel in terms of being a gangster. He's not really doing a whole lot. He's just collecting the money and passing it on to, you know, the racket. It's not a big deal. He's an old man. Lancaster himself was like 67 when he made this. You know, the character's probably the same age, maybe older, you know. This is not The Sopranos. And yet, at the same time, I think this actually, there is a through line from this to The Sopranos. Not just because, yes, it's New Jersey and it's crime and whatnot, but I think this is a film about America in the same way that The Sopranos is a show about America, right? And this is very much America on the decline in the post-1960s, whatever heyday. So as much as Atlantic City reflects where the United States was in 1979, when this was being written and filmed, I think much in the same way that The Sopranos is about America in 1999. You know, you think about that opening episode with Tony talking about, like, I feel like I missed, you know, the height already. You know, like I'm already on the downslope. And then the rest of the show is kind of about being on the downslope, you know, to the point where, like, it ends the way it ends.
With him getting away with it and everything working out fine.
I do feel like they're not dissimilar works, right? I think that Atlantic City and The Sopranos are tied. And I think New Jersey is kind of an interesting a symbol of the rest of the country and where it's going. Like I don't know. There's
Well, they just lucked out with the timing of Atlantic City at the time.
Yeah.
When it was like just getting casinos, so they're just blowing up buildings everywhere.
Yeah. So the opening of this movie actually shows what are what are they?
Traymore.
The Traymore. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of what and like that was actually bulldozed in like 1972.
Yeah.
But the opening of this film shows the destruction of some of the big palaces that were built in like the late Victorian into the early 20th century. You know, you had these huge places, and by the end of the 20th century, they had all, fallen apart. Nobody wanted to go there. People, left for the rest of the country. They left for, Vegas. They left for California, whatever.
Do you know my connection to that?
What's that?
So, like, my great grandmother was married to Jack Dempsey, who was a rower.
Okay. So not Jack Dempsey, the boxer.
No, he was a different Jack Dempsey.
Okay.
There are tons of them, I guess.
Yeah.
In fact, I have like a gold medal of his from but it's not like it's like a gold medal from like DC or something. I don't know.
So not the Olympics.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's apparently on Vespers Row and Boathouse Row. Yeah. And
Philadelphia.
Yeah. I guess he had a hotel in Atlantic City, and there was a bad breakup with him and my great grandma, and they she got the hotel, but then it was like taken by eminent domain.
Sure.
And turned into a casino, and like I saw all these like court papers of like her fighting, trying to get anything for it, and she never did.
Do you have a time frame for any of that?
1900.
Okay.
Sometime around then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is actually when they were starting to build the big,
yeah.
Hotels and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this isn't like 1970.
Okay.
When the casinos actually came in. So it was. At least I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah. I know my dad. I know we're going off on a tangent here, and we should be talking about the film, but I think one reason why this film appeals to us so much is we both have personal connections to Atlantic City, and this film is actually about the ways that we feel connected to it.
What completely blew us out of the water was like we had just come down, like we were just downtown.
Yes, in Philadelphia.
We were in Philly, like walking around, and we were at Independence Hall at this one corner. And the very first scene, or like the second scene, sorry.
Yeah, it is actually like the second scene of this film.
Is this kid, getting stealing a package of cocaine from a payphone? They used to have them at this corner right by Independence Hall.
So the film opens with actually the cutting of lemons and a very squishy noise, and it's like that kind of.
It's probably the squishiest opening I've ever heard.
It's pretty. It's
really
far
squishy.
up there. I can't think of anything I've heard that was squishier. And so somebody is cutting lemons, and we find out that it is Susan Sarandon, and she is then bathing herself in the lemon juice from these lemons that she cut. And it's, it's obviously like on the one hand, it's erotic because she pulls her top off and stuff, and is like air bathing with lemons.
And she's playing classical music.
And she's playing classical music. She carries a radio/tape player with her all the time, which at the time would have seemed eccentric. And now we all carry around our phones, and it's very normal, actually. Yeah. And I always find it interesting when films show a behavior that looks weird at the time and now is very normal.
Yeah.
I remember one time we were walking through Lansdale, and we passed by three teenagers, girls who were going to the skate park, and they're blasting Frank Sinatra of all things from their phone, which I still don't entirely understand.
Early Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, I still don't entirely get where they were picking it up from. I don't know, maybe a Fallout game or something. But like, it was very surreal. Like when they're blasting this music, and I'm just like, wait a minute. But like in this film, she is seen as unusual for doing this. She carries around this radio with like cassette tapes and is playing all kinds of music. A lot of it's classical, but occasionally you get like jazz or whatever. And so she is using her radio as she bathes herself with lemon juice, and it's kind of an odd scene where you're like, why are you doing this? And then
it pulls back.
and Burt Lancaster is her neighbor looking through the windows and, as you said, doing the whole peeping Tom rear window thing. So you cut from like that scene to all of a sudden you are at 5th and Chestnut in Philadelphia, as you said. And there is a phone booth and a dirtbag hippie watching.
No.
Well, wait.
6th and Chestnut. 5th and Chestnut is by the Bourse.
Oh,
This
God,
is
you're right.
Yeah.
Ah! Oh, I'm a fraud. I'm not from Philadelphia at all. What am I doing? God, you're right. You're absolutely right. It is 6th and Chestnut. Oh, I feel terrible now. Do I have to like whip myself with
A hoagie.
a hoagie? Must I be denied Scrapple forever? Like what have I done?
3 hours.
Yeah. Anyway, I got the block wrong, but I knew exactly where they were because they were right outside that building, as you said, that has the Maxfield Parrish Tiffany stained glass window and it's facing Independence Hall. So it was very weird because we had literally that very day that we watched the film, we walked right on this corner where
we saw that view.
We saw that view. There is not a phone booth there anymore. There probably hasn't been a phone booth in 20 years. But in this film, there is a phone booth, and a gangster makes a drop of cocaine, and our dummy sees this and steals it.
Dave Matthews.
And he deserves everything he's getting coming to him. Yeah. Ugh. So Dave steals the cocaine and then hitchhikes with his girlfriend to Atlantic City. This is the first of, I guess, 3 times where I was like, oh, this isn't right watching this film. Because a lot of this film gets so much right about the Jersey Shore, about Atlantic City, about just the way things kind of are, the way people are. But this is the first time they get things wrong.
Yeah.
So
this is very much the Rocky run.
Oh, yes, absolutely. The way that people will dissect the way that Rocky runs through the city in that first movie and go, like, this run doesn't make any sense. If he's living in Kensington, why is he down in, like, the Italian market? No, this is the same thing, where you watch these idiots hitchhike their way through New Jersey to get to Atlantic City, and that's fine. And they're walking over the bridge and stuff, and that's fine.
Whoever picked them up went the wrong way.
They went the wrong way because we see them going down the road, and they pass by Lucy the elephant. Now, here's the thing: Lucy the elephant.
This is after they've been in Ocean City.
Oh, that's right. The
first thing we see is the power plant.
That's right.
The Egg Harbor power plant.
God, I completely forgot about. Yes. So yeah, the first time they're walking on a bridge, which I don't think that bridge is actually there anymore. They replaced it with like the big, overbuilt 9th Street Bridge. Yeah. But they're basically walking on the 9th Street Bridge to Ocean City. And that you can see the power plant, the Egg Harbor power plant that would sit right near the Tuckahoe Inn.
Yeah.
And you can see that off in the distance. And
wait, we're not getting paid, but go eat at Tuckahoe.
Yeah, the Tuckahoe Inn is very delicious.
And go to the bar in the back. There's a family of skunks that lives there, and they're actually really nice.
They won't spray you.
They won't.
I was so shocked. We were sitting there one time at the bar, and the skunk walked by, and this woman like freaked out and started screaming, and this skunk did not care at all. They're just like, "Hi, we're just gonna walk through here."
We cared. We're like, "Please stop screaming."
It was surprisingly okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that. Okay, you're right. There's actually 4 times where I'm just kind of like, this is not correct. So the first time was they're walking the bridge to Ocean City, and it's just like, okay, you're going to the wrong island, but that's fine. The next time is kind of the same sequence of now that they're on Absecon Island, they're driving south.
Yeah, they pass by Lucy going south.
They pass by Lucy the elephant. Now, if you don't know, if you're not from the Mid-Atlantic, you don't know that there is a giant elephant.
There were 3 of them at one point. There was one on Coney Island, there was one there, and then there's one somewhere else.
I forget where the other...
Baltimore or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There were 3 elephants on the East Coast. As you said, Coney Island was one of them. And the only one that's still left is Lucy in Margate. Margate is south of Atlantic City. So they're driving by with Lucy on their left-hand side. That means they're going south, which means they're going away from Atlantic City, which means that does not make any sense whatsoever. I'm so annoyed. I'm watching this just like, you can't be serious. Did you not pay attention to where the ocean is? So they drive by Lucy. I'm very happy to see Lucy in this movie. By the way, Lucy looks great these days. You should go and check her out. She's in Margate, which is just south of Atlantic City.
So they see Lucy and she says, "Oh, it's good luck. It's Ganesh." You know.
Yeah, right. Okay. Sure. Yeah, because one interesting thing about this film is everybody in it feels a little bit like a ghost of the past. Insofar as you have Dave and his girlfriend. What's her name? Chrissy or whatever.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
They feel like the ghost of hippies. Like they want to be hippies. They're kind of hippies, but they're 10 years out of date.
The thing is, when they come into the casino and they're looking for his wife and her sister,
which is Susan Sarandon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, they totally looked like the Wheelers from Night Court.
That's true. Yeah.
Like completely like bumpkins from the middle of nowhere.
Which, to be fair, they kind of are. They're from like Moose Jaw.
Yeah.
In Saskatchewan?
Yeah.
And am I wrong, or was the couple at the center of the movie the apple from Moose Jaw?
Oh, you know what? They might have been.
Right?
Whoa.
I feel like Moose Jaw is kind of like a secret cultural capital of Canada.
Of 1980s Canada.
Yes, exactly.
Or 1980 specifically, that year.
1980, Moose Jaw was on the map. And
like they thought the 80s will be all about Moose Jaw and we're just going to promote it as to death.
So it turns out we brought up Susan Sarandon. She's from Moose Jaw. Her husband, Dave, is from Moose Jaw, but they moved to Atlantic City. For a while, like, her husband had left her and ran off with her sister.
I guess they had been in Vegas.
They were in
Vegas. And for
Vegas.
some reason, she can't work in Vegas anymore because of him.
Yes, they were like on communes and whatever. Again, it's that very kind of like the 60s have passed, but these are people who are burnouts who are still trying to do the whole hippie living on a commune thing. You know, it's all very free love and new age stuff and whatnot. And Susan Sarandon, her character is completely over all of that nonsense. She's just like, no, I need a job.
But she's still a little lost.
Okay, so they get wrong, you know, the fact that, like, if you're driving south in Margate, you're driving away from Atlantic City. So I was very annoyed by that, but whatever. They end up at a casino. And now, because it's 1980, this is when casinos were just starting up in Atlantic City. They had only legalized gambling in, like, 76, I think. And the first casinos didn't open until around 1979, like 1980. And so this was filmed in, like, late 79. The only thing that was open was Resorts, which is still there, and Caesars, which is still there. Bally had not taken over yet. You know, like a lot of that stuff was not there yet. And part of the thing about this film is it's about how they're tearing down all of these old hotels, they're tearing down all of these old apartment buildings, and they're going to put in all of these casinos. And Susan Sarandon, her whole thing is she wants to train to be a dealer at the casino because, as she says, you make $20,000 a year. Well, you do the math from 1980 to 2024. That's like making $80,000 a year.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I would be trained to be a blackjack. Are you kidding me? I'm thinking like, damn, what am I doing living here in like Worcester? I should be, I need to go to Atlantic City. Why am I living here? I should be a blackjack dealer. I'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
You want to go live at the beach?
Sure.
I don't think my mother would be very happy with that. So, no, I completely understand why she's just like, okay, I escaped Canada. I escaped my dumb husband who ran off with my sister. I just want to, become a dealer and make a decent living. And she even says multiple times, like, I like Atlantic City. I like being here. Like, this is nothing like Moose Jaw. This is great. I'm very happy to live by the ocean. The only thing that she doesn't like is because she's not actually a dealer yet. She has to work at the oyster bar, which means that she's dealing with seafood all day. Yeah. She's shucking oysters, which, by the way, sucks. You can easily cut your hand if you're not careful with these knives and stuff. And so the whole thing with the lemons, we find out later on, is that this is her way of dispelling the fish smell. Yeah. She's extremely self-conscious about the way she smells because she's dealing with fish all day. Her husband shows up out of the blue with her sister. The sister is pregnant. He had stolen the cocaine, and so he's just trying to figure out a way to sell the cocaine because he's in Atlantic City. And let's be honest, It's a good place to sell cocaine.
Nobody's saying anything like that, though.
No.
They don't tell her that at all. They're just like here to stay, you know?
Yeah.
Like they're just, well, we didn't need a place to crash.
So he tries to figure out how to unload the drugs, and he hits up a bar.
Which he'd heard about in Vegas.
I guess it was like kind of a famous like jazz or blues club or something like that. I forget now. I had looked it up. It has since been demolished, unfortunately. You know, he goes to this guy and says, hey, I've got all this stuff. I'll give it to you. You know, not give it, but I'll sell it to you if you will, you know, distribute it, and I'll, you know, take the cut or whatever. And the guy's just like, no, we've got a good thing. We've got a system here, and you're screwing this up.
Yeah.
And I think that's
I work with who I know, and I don't work with who I don't know.
Look, I'm not involved in organized crime, but this absolutely makes sense to me. Of just like, you've got a thing going here. You've paid off the right people. You know who your suppliers are. Why would I look at this, you know, hippie dirtbag coming in with like a bag of cocaine and be like, yeah, I'll sell your stuff. No, of course I'm not going to say no. Are you crazy? Yeah. So of course he gets turned down. Not only that, but of course the guy at the bar is just like, I know the people you stole this from. And this spools out through the film as just like, of course he's going to contact the people in Philadelphia that you ripped off. I mean, like, are you stupid? Of course he's stupid. He's a hippie.
Yeah.
Mixed up in all of this is Lou, Burt Lancaster.
Yeah.
Lou lives at the same apartment building. In fact, he's neighbors with Susan Sarandon. And so he kind of picks up on what's going on and decides that he's going to help out Dave because, for one thing...
The thing is, we don't know Lou's deal.
No.
Like, we just see him observing all this.
He's observing all this, and then we see him being just basically a numbers runner.
Yeah, but he's like dressed nice, so you start to assume like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
We start to buy his stories just based on his appearance.
But here's the thing. He doesn't know what he's doing either.
No.
He was such a low-level gangster. He was he's just a numbers runner. He's nobody. He just collects the money. He was there for the time of organized crime being, you know, significant in terms of running Atlantic City. And there's an interesting tension in this film between what is organized crime, numbers runner and stuff like that, and perfectly legal businesses, which is casinos. And that's, I find really interesting.
But the way they present Atlantic City in this movie, it is like, this is a town at the bottom.
Because it was a town at the bottom. It absolutely was.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not that much higher now, but like...
It really isn't. Oh, God. The gangsters come for him, and it ends up falling all back on Lou.
Well, the thing is that Lou and Dummy get together. It turns out they're both dummies together.
They're both really dumb. You spend like half the movie thinking Lou knows what he's talking about, and that he was a gangster, and he knows actually like how to like work the system, and he knows who to sell things to, and that he is actually really competent. But by the end of the film, you realize, oh, no, he's pretend.
He's just as dumb.
He's just as dumb.
Yeah.
It's just that he happened to be in the right place at the right time.
And the thing is, the whole reason that they get together was that Dave hears like, oh, this guy runs numbers, you know, for the dinosaurs. And Dave is like, runs up to him. He says, oh, I heard about you in Vegas. And that touches Lou's like ego because he's like, oh, they know about me.
Yeah.
And we find out at the end, all he cares about is what people say about him.
Yeah. Do people know that he's like an important gangster or anything like that?
And he's totally not.
He's not. He's nobody. He's absolutely nobody.
Yeah.
But this was his chance to be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So the gangsters find Dave and they knife him. He's dispatched pretty quickly.
So it's interesting. He's killed it in this like parking garage thing. This thing that like elevates cars from one thing to the other, and
I guess they have those in Atlantic City, but the only place I've seen them is in Manhattan.
Well, I was reading like an interview with Malle. You know, he saw like a lot of what this kind of movie was made on the fly. We'll talk about that later about how fast they had to make it. But a lot of times he would just kind of observe things like, that's weird. I've never seen anything like that. So let's just do an action piece on it.
Yeah.
It looks dangerous. Like, you know, people could get smushed on this thing. But...
Like, okay, so if you've never seen what we're talking about, you will find occasionally these apparatuses where in order to park cars in a very dense area, they will have almost like a vending machine. I mean, that's kind of what it's like.
Yeah.
Where you load your car on and then it will like something between a vending machine and a Ferris wheel. But now that they've killed him, they don't know where the drugs are at first. And so a good portion of the film is them figuring out Lou ended up with the drugs. Meanwhile, Lou has learned how to cut the drugs with
baby powder or something?
Well, no, it's not baby powder. It's like mannitol.
Yeah.
Mannitol, which actually we've worked with at work, actually, now that I think about it. It's like it can be used as a laxative and stuff, and it's like something that they would use to cut drugs back, 50 years ago. Nowadays they use fentanyl, and more people die now. Fentanyl, maybe not a great idea. Go back to the laxatives. Not that I ever use this stuff, but I'm just saying. So he learns how to cut the cocaine in order to sell more of it, and so he's been selling to some guy who's like a gambler in one of the hotels.
It's basically he goes to a room, hands the package, and then gets money, and it's like a vending machine practically. Pretty
much.
Yeah.
And so he gets like new clothes.
This is the cheeriest Coke guy ever too. The guy he's doing like an illegal poker game in this one room.
Yeah.
And he's always happy to see him. He's like, it's you. Hey.
Yeah, even when he's like, I kind of don't have quite as much here, he's just willing to like break off some of it and like, I'll pay you for this much.
Yeah.
And like, not the worst guy to deal with.
Yeah.
Again, much like the last film we did, he looks a little like George Costanza.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A little bit, yeah.
This film had like a mostly Canadian cast, which is a little weird. I mean, like, I think some of the interior shots were done up in Canada, but a lot of it was done like in Atlantic City. In fact, later in the film, there's a bus driver who I'm pretty sure is the guy who runs the camp in Meatballs. But I didn't look it up yet. So anyway, so Lou's been, selling the cocaine, and he's been taking the money, and he's bought himself new suits. He bought a buddy of his who was a bathroom attendant a new suit. They talk about, this reminds me of the time that Nucky Johnson had us go out and buy like 100 boxes of condoms. Nucky Johnson, of course, is actually the guy that Steve Buscemi's character...
He's Nucky Thompson?
Nucky Thompson in Boardwalk Empire. So, like, I found it really just funny, like, he's referencing that guy who actually was, like, this power broker in Atlantic City, So, again, if you've watched Boardwalk Empire, why haven't you watched Atlantic City? They are related. He's spending the money, and he's also trying to get closer to Susan Sarandon, who...
you know what? He starts to dress like Dennis Farina.
Oh yeah.
It's not quite shiny enough, but it's the same look. I mean, he's got this like white mustache and white hair and all.
He's trying to get close to Susan Sarandon because he's developed this, obsession is too harsh a word, right? You brought up Rear Window. It's not as active, a situation, right? This isn't like Vertigo where he's hunting down a woman. This is he's more passive.
But at the same time, like, she's being like kind of chased by this French teacher.
Yeah.
Or not really French teacher. He's actually running the blackjack training. Yeah. But he's also teaching her French and.
Yeah, because her whole idea is she wants to not just be like a dealer in Atlantic City, but she's just like, eventually I could go off to Monaco, I could go to France, I could get out of the country, just get away from, this side of the world entirely and go to Europe.
And he realizes like, oh, you mean like Grace Kelly? Yeah.
Right. Which, again, because this film is very connected to Philadelphia, and they bring up Philadelphia a lot of times. They bring up like Atlantic City was, at one point, they call it the lungs of Philadelphia and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And like, Atlantic City was very much like, if you're from Philadelphia, you go to Atlantic City, you go to Ocean City, which is just south of them, whatever. Like there is a very close connection between Philadelphia and Atlantic City to the point where, I've brought up again, my grandfather would claim that he could drive from Atlantic City to Philadelphia in 60 minutes.
I thought it was 45 minutes.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe it was 45. The point being, like, it's an insane amount of time, much shorter than you should be able to do.
Especially when there was no Atlantic City Expressway.
Exactly. But again, he was a bootlegger, so I don't know what back roads he was taking, but whatever. But there is a close connection between Philadelphia and Atlantic City, and so when he keeps bringing up, like Grace Kelly, you want to go to Monaco, you want to do this, I was not expecting from people who don't come from this area. I'm just saying, like, that was kind of nice amount of homework on their part,
If you ever read Ben Franklin's autobiography, he talks about when he first came from Boston to Philly. And it took like days to get through the swamps of New Jersey to get to Philly.
Yeah.
It was not a 45-minute drive.
It's still not. I've tried. All right, so they get closer together. The gangsters are closing in on them, and eventually the gangsters, start tearing up her apartment. They've killed her husband. They're tearing up her apartment. They're tearing up other apartments in this one building. They don't know that Lou is involved.
We haven't mentioned Gracie yet.
There's another woman who lives in the apartment, an older woman who was married to a gangster, and she is connected to Lou because I guess Lou worked for her husband, but also they kind of knew each other going back to when she first came to the city back during the Second World War. And so he's kind of been her servant and protector and whatnot. And so she still has money left over from when, before her husband died. And so she's been kind of paying him to be her servant and different things.
She now comes in contact with the sister.
Well, that's right. So, once the husband has been killed, the sister who is pregnant has been kind of left on her own. So she ends up hanging out with Gracie a lot through the film. And the film just sort of shuttles them off onto their own. But at the same time, there's a lot of nice character work there. You hear more about like Gracie and her background and like where she comes from and, where the money comes from and like her relationship to Lou, in fact. And you also find out a little bit more about, the sister and, Moose Jaw and all that type of stuff, which is kind of neat. The gangsters kind of figure out where the money finally is, and so like they're trying to hunt down Lou, and they're hunting down.
So first they attack Sally, and this is kind of
Sally being Susan Sarandon.
And this is where the mask comes off because he can't protect her. They smash her radio to see if the drugs are in there, and they aren't. And Lou just goes into his room and I think just locks the door. And this is where Gracie says, like, when my husband was killed, Lou just disappeared. It's like, yeah, Lou is not some big shot. He's just this guy that just, he gets scared and he leaves.
Yeah, because earlier in the film, he was talking about, like, oh, I killed this guy, and I knew Bugsy Siegel, and I knew, Lucky Luciano, and all these guys. And turns out, like, he probably didn't know these guys, or he was so far down.
He saw them. Like, he was, like, he talked about, later he says that Bugsy Siegel was in a drunk tank. Like, he was in a drunk tank, and Bugsy Siegel was busted in the same night, and he saw him for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he left. Just like Gracie said, he tries to leave.
He tries to get onto a Greyhound bus, actually, to get out of town at one point.
At the same time that Sally's being fired.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, Sally, it comes out that, oh, your ex-husband, whatever, estranged, I should say, that he was involved in this whole drug thing, and, we can't have you working at the casinos because you're involved in organized crime. She's just like, I don't actually have any connection to any of this. This is my estranged husband. I don't see why I need to be held responsible for what he does. It doesn't matter. She ends up getting fired from her job. Her dream of becoming a dealer at a casino is over. Like, what is she going to do with the rest of her life? She's just heartbroken, and she's understandably extremely angry. At the same time that Lou is being hunted now by the gangsters, she is being fired from her job, and everything just kind of like unravels from there. It all ends up going out into the street where like they're being followed by these gangsters, and surprisingly, as they're walking down the street, trying to get away from them, they come out of the shadows. They confront them again, and we saw him earlier, like kind of looking at like a gun, like, oh, should I take this? Should I get rid of this? He puts it in his pocket. He finally uses the gun, and he shoots the gangsters. And, it's this moment of, oh my God, I've finally done it. I'm a real gangster. I finally killed these dudes. Yeah. The rest of the film is him in this like giddy state of, I finally did it.
He's like euphoric.
Yes. He is so happy. He's finally a real gangster who killed other gangsters. Like he's finally like living the American dream.
And his plan is to go down to Florida to meet all his old friends to show her off.
Yeah.
Like, I killed 2 gangsters, and here I got a hot young girlfriend.
This is not Sally's idea of the future. So we get a really interesting sequence where, they kill the guys, they steal their car, and they go back onto what I assume is the mainland. So they're probably over in like Marmora or wherever.
In Pleasantville. Yeah. They're probably in Pleasantville, actually. And so, they stay in a hotel
motel, I should say, for the night. And oh my God, this is like one of the other things where I'm just like, this is wrong. They have news reports about a gangland slaying in
Channel 7.
Channel 7.
Here's
There is no Channel 7 in the Jersey Shore. I mean, okay, so there is actually like an Atlantic City channel that nobody uses. Like it's not it exists, but nobody uses it. Like it's public access, but it's not even public access. They're just showing like Christian commercials or whatever. If you are watching the news in Atlantic City, you're watching Channel 6. They break in with breaking news. There's been a gangland slaying in Atlantic City. This should have been Jim Gardner. This should have been Channel 6. What are we doing here? I can't believe I'm watching a couple like Canadian actors pretending to be in Philadelphia. I was so mad. I'm like, I should be seeing Action News. There is not one man with a mustache on this thing. This is so fake.
You know what? Brian Taff kind of has that accent, though. Come on.
I don't accept Brian Taft as an anchor. I don't care. I know it's been a couple of years. Does not matter. Bring back Jim Gardner. Look, I don't believe in AI. I'm against AI. Give me AI Jim Gardner. There is no news without Jim Gardner.
I gotta say, the picture that they drew of him, it's like this guy with a mustache, but it's dark. Everything, it's kind of like an old Jim Gardner.
Actually, it does look like Jim Gardner.
It looks more like Jim Gardner than him.
It's very weird. Yeah, it's not a mugshot. What would you call that? Like a
police sketch.
Police sketch. Yeah, it does kind of look like Jim Gardner. Yeah. Look, this is a very Philadelphia-centric complaint. I don't care. This movie is set in Atlantic City. This is our territory.
Yeah.
So. It should have been Jim Gardner.
You know what? We missed a guest star.
Oh, are you talking about Robert Guare?
No, at the Knife and Fork.
I forgot. Yes, okay. Let's go back for a second. As Lou and Sally kind of get closer together and they kind of talk about
to celebrate his first $4,000 that he stole from her, basically.
Because this was her husband's money, sort of. Like, she kind of feels like this should have been my money insofar as it could get me out of here. They go to the Knife and Fork, which is a very fancy restaurant in Atlantic City. And it's still there.
Has this really kind of diamond window.
Oh, yeah. It's got that.
Really cool.
Oh, yeah. It's a very nice, it's still a very nice place. It's ritzy and stuff. So they go to have dinner there. And this was a cameo that just knocked us out. I sat bolt upright. So they're sitting there. They're going to have dinner. Their waiter. Folks, it is my dinner with Wally.
Yeah.
Yes, Wallace Shawn plays the waiter. Famously loquacious actor and playwright Wallace Shawn. Essayist, etc. Like Wallace Shawn. Fascinating dude.
Incredulous look on his face.
He plays a nearly speechless waiter. Like, he never speaks. He basically says two lines, sort of like, today's special is like the fish or something to that effect, today's catch. And then he passes them the cork from a bottle of wine. Yeah. Would you like to sniff? And all I could think of, would you like to smell the bottle cap from the Muppet movie? A year later, My Dinner with Andre would come out. So obviously
he makes up for it.
So obviously this was, hey, be in my movie. He'd already been in like a couple of movies by then,
Sorry, I know this is out of order. I just wanted
No, Dennis.
Didn't want to miss him.
It's very important that we bring up the fact that Wallace Shawn is in this film, even if it's only for 30 seconds. Yeah. Given the fact that the director went on and made My Dinner with Andre, I don't mind going backwards for this.
All right, we're back in the motel.
Okay, so we're back in the motel in Pleasantville, and basically, they obviously shouldn't be together, right? He is so tickled by seeing this crime on the news, and he's just like, "That was me. That's me. I did it. I killed these guys. This is awesome. I gotta tell everybody I'm a real gangster." And Susan Sarandon's just like, "Oh my God, he's just as dumb as my ex. What are we doing here? I got to get out of here." And she talks about, I want to go to France.
By the way, they've already had sex.
Yeah, earlier. Okay. Well, so, look, it's the 80s. We don't see anything on screen, but, they imply they have sex and stuff.
He puts his claws on her boobs. To tell it looks like it's like, ah.
I mean, you're not wrong. Boy, it's amazing how you just drained all the eroticism out of it.
I'm just saying how it looked. Get those claws away from those.
Anyway, so they're in the hotel. She's just like, no. Oh oh my God, you're just as dumb. You're just as dumb.
Well, like, he's saying, like, we'll go to Florida. Where do you want to go? And she says, France. And he says, Florida. We're going to Florida. And she's like, Florida's nice. But
Florida's fine, but I really want to get out of the country.
But it's obviously they're not listening to each other.
No.
Like, he's in
well,
his...
here's the thing. She's listening to him, but she's just like, you don't know what you're saying.
He's on another planet.
He's an old man who is trying to live out the glories that he didn't have as a young person. And she can see exactly what's happening here. And she's just like, this is a huge mistake. Mm-hmm. He falls asleep finally. And she is like, okay, I'm going to just pull.
No.
Well,
he goes into the bathroom to call Gracie to brag.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
And then she gets up and...
That's right. She had fallen asleep. He goes and to brag to Gracie. I mean, my God, he's so dumb. He's like bragging to everybody like, I killed a guy. Like, shut up. Absolutely shut up. So as he's bragging about the murder that he committed, and to be fair, they were trying to kill them. He was justified in killing these dudes. I don't have a moral problem with what he did, but he won't shut up.
To me, like, this justifies his existence.
Okay.
The way he sees it.
Yes.
Like,
I agree.
he always admired these gangster guys, and he failed in the past. Didn't have the nerve to protect his buddy. So this has gnawed at him his whole life. And then Gracie is belittling him constantly. Like, you let my husband die, all this stuff. This is like redemption, complete redemption for him. But he's so, like, inelegant about it. It's like he dresses so... cool or whatever, at least in the beginning. Yeah. He's a little ostentatious later.
She takes some of the money and then he comes out and she's just like, how about I go get us a pizza?
And the thing is, he saw her take the money, and so like they both sort of know.
Yeah, exactly. No, this is totally he knows that she took the money. She, I guess, knows that he knows to some extent, but also is just kind of like, how far can I get with this? Yeah. And so he says, okay, fine, yeah, go get a pizza. She takes the money and says, yeah, I'll go get a pizza. And he says, by the way, you definitely want to, get rid of the car as soon as possible. So like he knows. Yeah. As soon as she is out the door, she is gone. Yeah. And this is the fourth problem I have with this film. She is driving and it's dawn, right? So the sun is coming up. Here's the thing. The sun is coming up on her left-hand side, which means that she is driving south. Now, look, if you are in Pleasantville, where are you going, Lewis? Delaware? Where are you going? Are you going to the ferry? You're not going.
She is going to the ferry. She's going to go
No, this is dumb
Delaware.
as hell. She should be. No, the sun should be behind her, and she should be heading for Philadelphia to go to the airport. Where is she going? This doesn't make if you know anything about the geography of South Jersey, it makes no sense that the sun would be on her left-hand side. That's where the ocean is.
You know what was? No, what was? She was on a traffic circle. She was turning around.
Oh my God, was she stuck at Circle Liquors in Summers Point?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That I understand.
And that's why she was just turning around.
Just stuck on that circle, man. I've been there.
Yeah. But I like it. It's kind of like Jesse's end in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's
like
she has that like, oh my God, I'm free. Yeah. She's so happy. She turns on the radio and she gets on like what's essentially NPR, and they're doing like, here's some French phrases you can learn. So look, it's not a subtle film. Yeah. But I like what it's doing.
She's like, I think I'll date a French director.
Yeah.
For 3 years. Wonder what that got me.
So then we cut back to Lou, and he goes back to Atlantic City. And the thing is, the gangsters are dead. The danger's over. He ends up back with Gracie. The hotel that they live in is going to be demolished, but they have money.
And he has her go sell the last $1,000 of coke to the Happy Room.
Yeah.
What was it, $317, I think?
So, yeah. I don't remember.
We kept seeing a number. But,
yeah. So yeah, there they are walking down the boardwalk, their pockets full of money, and just like they're a couple of, elderly people who, maybe they had their last adventure with all of this, but, Atlantic City is changing. Where they lived is being knocked down, and we don't know what their future is going to be, but they escaped imminent death. Away they stroll while a wrecking ball goes into the building. Mm-hmm. And that's the end of the film, a wrecking ball taking down, one of the old buildings in Atlantic City.
Apparently, like, they kept just running around to whenever they would hear about a new demolition, they would just run to like film scenes near it.
Sure. It's very effective.
Yeah.
You know, what I like about this film is you get a sense of cultural ghosts, right? This is very much a film about Atlantic City is well past its heyday as a resort, paralleling where America was in the 70s. And, you know, so this was written and filmed in 79. So this is, you know, after like, you know, the Bronx is burning and all of that stuff, you know, New York being, you know, decimated by light and all that stuff. And this is, you know, the end of Carter's America. And you get that sense of, you know, the good times are over if you stay in this one place, right? Like maybe if you leave, something will be better if you're Susan Sarandon in this film. But if you're in America, yeah, we don't know what the future is, and we're just kind of clinging on to these ghosts of the past, so that you have, you know, Lou and Gracie, who are obsessed with their own, you know, youth in the 40s or whatever, and, you know, the you know, maybe even earlier than that, into the 20s, where, you know, when they were young and they were on, you know, the top of their game, you know, you have these, you know, people who are trying to be hippies with David and, you know, Sally's, you know, sister and whatnot. You have all these people who are kind of ghosts of the past. Atlantic City is a ghost of the past, right? And the end of the film is a wrecking ball coming to it. And the fact that this is 1980 and like, you know, this is when Reagan's going to be elected, like it, I don't even think they intended it to be a metaphor, but it feels like a metaphor, right?
Yeah.
You know, the casinos were held up as this promise of, okay, we're going to bring in prosperity. But, you know, the thing is, they didn't, because now we live 40 plus years later and we know what the casinos actually did, and they didn't make things better.
They trickled down.
They did. No, they really didn't trickle down. No, you know what they gave us? They gave us Donald fucking Trump. That's all the casinos gave us, right? They gave us nothing. Look, I like going to Atlantic City. I like going to casinos. Yeah. But I know what they gave us, which is nothing, right? They didn't make the city better. That's America writ large, right? The Reaganism, like all of that shit, none of it made life better.
I think the movie, like the director, was well aware of that, though.
Oh, no. I completely agree. No. He absolutely knew what he was talking about. The playwright knew what he was talking about. Like, no, they are. But what I'm saying is, I don't know. It's more like looking back and it's just like, God, you were so right. It hurts.
But I just feel
like they knew it was right. They knew it was right.
Yeah. I just feel like that when you go to a different country, things seem obvious that maybe aren't obvious to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, again, you know, in a year, Springsteen is writing the song Atlantic City on Nebraska. It's literally the same story, right? You know, I could talk, like, look, my mother does not want to be on the show, but if I had her sit down, she could talk about, like, you know, my father worked in Atlantic City, like, just south of there. Like, she would tell stories about, like, they would go to Atlantic City, you know, as the changeover was going on, and he would, you know, comment on just, like, thing happening and whatever. Like, I'm not against, like, look, I have my vices. Everybody has their vices. But I'm not deluded enough to think that the vices are actually going to make things better. I don't know. It's just that, like, then America became the casino, right? It wasn't just, the casino wasn't just in Atlantic City. All of America is now a casino. And when you think about, like, the legalization of gambling throughout the entire country, right? When you think about, you know, the fact that you can watch a baseball game and they interrupt every 15 minutes with, like, whatever bets you should be making on the batters. You know, like, we are now living in the casino. This is not good.
And then you have, you know, Bitcoin, all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's literally the same part. It's part of the whole same thing, right?
Yeah.
We live in Atlantic City. We live in a permanent Atlantic City. But the movie's great. I love the movie. The movie's fantastic. I really do. I think, like, it looks good. I love the performances in it. I think it's extremely well written. I can't believe that this thing won not a single Academy Award. So that I never knew that this movie really existed, to be honest.
So we can be mad at Jane Fonda for different reasons.
Yes, you're all mad at her for the wrong reasons. I'm mad at her for the right reasons, and it was for blocking out Atlantic City from getting a single Academy Award.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like the thing that the Academy would award, though. Yeah, this is a little too close to home.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So I do have the story behind how the movie got made.
Go for it.
So a rabbi from Winnipeg came to Louis Malle and said, I've got money for you for a movie, but due to Canadian laws, like every dollar is deductible up until December 31st, 1979.
Okay.
So this is summer 1979. So you've got 6 months.
I was going to say, that's cutting it really close.
Yeah. So in July 27, like Susan Sarandon is his girlfriend. He wants her to star in this. Uh-huh. And she says, I've got this playwright friend in New York, John Guare. Contact him. And so he contacts him. He says, like, I got this deal. I have 6 months to make this. What can we do? And by then it was like 5 months. And so he says, I had this neighbor that I grew up with, Tony Ray. He was like, I guess, ran the Waldorf Astoria. And he moved down to Atlantic City to run one of the hotels down there. He's got plenty of stories. Let's go meet him. And so in like 2 days later, in July 29th, they go down and spend 8 hours like with him, just taking him around the town. And the first thing they see these beautiful girls shucking clams. And he says, oh yeah, they have to do that for 3 months before they become, like, they want to be blackjack dealers because everybody wants to be a blackjack dealer. But they have to spend 3 months shucking clams before they can do that. So while they're going around, they see this giant picture of a gangster convention from 1929, and this really happened. Like all the gangsters came to Atlantic City. Nucky Thompson,
Johnson,
he organized it. He
Again,
he said,
people...
"Don't worry, cops won't bother you."
No, seriously, watch Boardwalk Empire. This is very accurate.
And so there's this giant picture from it, and there's Al Capone right in the front grinning, and in the very back there's like this kid, like 19-year-old kid, like grinning like an idiot. They looked at this kid and they said, that's our star. That's Lou right there.
Okay.
He's just happy to be there. So he managed to write this up, and they finished it like December 31st.
I really do think they captured something though of what the shore feels like, especially in the off season, right? Because this is all filmed in like between October and the end of December. Yeah. And you get that sense of, nobody's there for the beach, they're there for the casino. They are actually kind of able to capture, I don't know, just how Atlantic City feels. Even now in 2024, this is, we've stayed at the Hard Rock and stuff. Like we go to the casinos and stuff, but there's something about this that feels right, doesn't it?
Everything dies, maybe that's the fact. But maybe everything that dies someday comes back. Put your makeup on, fix your hair real pretty, and meet me tonight in Atlantic City.
All right, so that was Atlantic City, starring Burt Lancaster, Susan Sarandon, Kate Reid, Michael Piccoli, Hollis McLaren, Robert Joy, Robert Goulet. Yeah, we didn't even really talk about Robert Goulet, but he shows up.
That felt like a French scene.
That felt so surreal.
Yeah.
The Robert Goulet scene where he is singing in a hospital as they're dedicating a wing paid for by Frank Sinatra. It's so weird.
But the thing is, Sally walks through the scene, and then she gets into a phone booth, and he just walks up and sings to her.
It's so strange. It's such a that's where the movie almost tips into like magical realism.
Yeah,
it's really wonderful. And finally, in a brief scene, Wallace Shawn. So I was very happy to see that. Directed by Louis Malle, or Mal, I can't pronounce French, and written by John Guare, who also, or Guare, or Gar, or God, I'm the worst at this. But anyway, he also wrote 6 Degrees of Separation and a bunch of other stuff. He's a well-regarded playwright. Yeah. Anyway, so you can follow us on social media. We are Mary VS Movies on all of your major platforms. X. I still think it's Twitter. I don't care. Blue Sky, Mastodon, Threads. What else is out there? Instagram, TikTok. We've started doing TikToks. Dennis sometimes does animations, or I play with a puppet called Reginald. It's a lot of fun. What else?
Wait, that's you?
No. I'm just friends with him.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I don't know. He's just a guy I know.
All right, good.
let's see. On Tumblr, we are Mary versus the movies. We have a Patreon where you can help support the show for $3 a month. You can help pay for the cost of our servers and our Zoom account and all that type of stuff, the renting of our films, everything else. But for that $3 a month, you can also gain access to our show Hollywood Avalon, where we watch Arthurian movies. So things like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, The Fisher King, The Kid Who Would Be King, The Green Knight, all sorts of stuff. We have, hopefully a new episode coming out soon. We kind of missed July because life gets away from you, but we do try to put them out once a month when we can. It doesn't always work out that way, but we are an ongoing thing with Hollywood Avalon. But I do want to remind people, if you want to sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/MaryVSMovies, do not use the app on iTunes or whatever, Apple, your phone, whatever, because apparently Apple is taking like a huge chunk of whatever you put into it and all sorts of fees. So don't use Apple. Go on to a web browser and subscribe that way. All right. What else? We are on all of your major platforms except for Google, because I can't figure out the whole YouTube thing. I'm really annoyed that they changed that up, and I got to figure that out. But otherwise, we are on your, Apple Podcasts, your Spotify's, your Overcasts, all the rest of that. So, plug us into whatever your podcatcher of choice is, and I'm still trying to figure out Google. Other than that, I'm not sure what our next 2 episodes are going to be.
Oh, that's right.
And I don't have anything set up. So, we'll have another episode out very soon.
We're not flipping a coin?
I can't flip a coin because I don't know what we're going to watch next.
Oh.
In fact, I'm not even sure when this is coming out. So, I've lost all sense of time. I have vacation brain.
Yeah.
And, so yes, we'll have an episode out again next week, but I just don't know what it is.
Okay.
So otherwise, until next time.
It's a shame you never saw Atlantic City when it had Floy Floy. Remember the song Flatfoot Floogie and the Floy Floy with the Floy Floy? Hepcat and Zoop Soup. That was the Floogie part.
Dennis, you brought that on yourself. Nobody made you say that.
Dude, the Floy Floy was the best part. Come on.